Good morning, everyone. Welcome back, and thanks for joining me again. So we're going to get right into the blog this week because it's described pretty well, the topic, and then we can talk about it later. So the name of the blog this week is called Spiritual Resistance. So what is the definition of resilience? So the online dictionary definition is the capacity to recover quickly from difficulties, mental toughness, or the ability of a substance or object to spring back into shape, which is elasticity. So while contemplating these two definitions from a spiritual perspective, I had a sense that each of them was focusing on the different aspects of who we are, the physical human part and the beingness or our soul. Yet applying just one of those strategies exclusive of the other is bound to create inconsistency and an inability to sustain our desired resiliency. Why? Well, I think it's because in the first definition, we are utilizing our mind in order to enact our ability to bounce back from our challenges. The ego, of course, as we know, takes up residence in our mind. So it may employ fear tactics to persuade us to kind of push away our adversities and refuse to face them. That may help temporarily, but not in the long term. Our adversaries and our adversities come into our lives in order to teach us something so that our souls can evolve. We know that. If we push away a difficulty because the mind can't handle the thought of dealing with it, it will come back. It'll come back in a different form. You're carrying with it the same lesson. If we again use our mind's toughness to push that one away too, the cycle will continue and our suffering may seem endless to us. So the only way to break the cycle is to turn and face the fear and ask our team of light why the person or circumstance came into our lives. What are we supposed to learn from the pain and cyclical self-manifested suffering, if you will? My interpretation of the second definition from a spiritual perspective is that it is speaking about energy. So energy is elastic and it can be shaped and reshaped, but it can never be destroyed. Everything, both here in the spirit world, is made up of energy. Our soul is pure energy and light with a particular energy configuration that shapes who we are as a soul and delineates what our spiritual purpose is. Maintaining that configuration of energy is crucial in maintaining the health and wholeness of the one energy that unites us all to each other. So not employing the wisdom and clarity of our souls time after time when attempting to bounce back from continued adversity can or may cause a break in our psyche that we may not be able to understand from a physical or a medical perspective. Our ability to maintain our mental toughness can become exhausting as one adversity after another rains down upon our lives. A soul that has trouble merging with its human counterpart may get caught up in the drama and forget who it is. Doing so for even one, but more likely for a number of lifetimes, can alter the configuration of the soul's energy and become a source of darkened light within the matrix of the one. And when I say darkened, I don't mean evil, just dull, let's say. The soul's connection to the divine creator will likely be weakened by its inability to merge with the physical form it inhabits. And it can thus fuel a sense of feeling kind of lost and unable to find its way back home. And this, of course, can be a recipe for a deeply painful and sorrowful life. The good news is that souls, again, are made of energy, and each one can indefinitely maintain its elasticity so that any altered configuration of energy can reshape itself with a spiritual awakening and a remembrance of the truth of who it is and why it came here. The point of power is always in the present moment. What does that mean? It means that no matter how young or old we are, or where we find ourselves on the pathway of our lives, we can awaken, reconnect with our beautiful souls, and take parental control, if you will, of our fearful and drama-addicted ego. And again, the ego is not a demon that we must defeat or destroy. It's simply a part of our human experience. It is more likened to a frightened child than an evil foe. By accepting that it is only trying to protect us, by shielding us from our challenges, we can learn to treat that part of us with compassion and strength. We can explain to our overactive, imaginative ego mind that its resistance to the entirety of life, with all its slings and arrows, as well as its joys and sorrows, rather joys and pleasures, will most likely result in our inability to evolve. At that point, it would be best to ask our confused ego to kind of go take a nice long nap, and then assure it that it doesn't need to worry because we've got everything under control. So how can we strengthen our resiliency so that we can continue to bounce back as quickly as possible from our challenges? I believe the only way to accomplish this is simply through awareness and present moment mindfulness. What does that mean? It means that when an adversity suddenly materializes or unexpectedly crashes headfirst into our lives, and our ego starts screaming in fear, we stay right where we are, in the seat of our soul. We take a deep breath and perhaps whisper a silent prayer for help and assistance so that we stay calm and stay the course. This doesn't mean we can't have a moment or two, or even many, of anguish, tears, and deep sorrow. We can. We're human, and honoring our humanness is an act of self-love and acceptance. Yet even in the midst of our pain, we can still stay present and aware of where we are, and most importantly, who we are. We are not the adversity. We are the awareness that is aware of it, and it is observing it from a higher spiritual perspective. It may take some time for the heightened emotions to soften and even out, but eventually they will. In the meantime, we are still conscious and aware that staying with the experience or the adversity is the only way that will allow us to emerge and evolve more enlightened than we were before it came. So to sum it all up, spiritual resiliency is the ability to utilize the power of our mindful, positive thoughts, not the negative hysterical ego, as well as the wisdom of our soul and the guidance from God and our team of light whenever challenges arise, so that we can bounce back more quickly. When we do, our spiritual resiliency grows stronger. This intentional, mindful cooperation between our human part and our spiritual part will ensure that our adversities, in retrospect, or hopefully as they unfold, will be viewed as treasures for our souls. When we peel away the layers of emotional suffering, like layers of an onion, we uncover those treasures, which of course are the lessons that we have discovered. Each lesson we learn allows us to ascend higher on our soul's evolutionary journey. The more our consciousness evolves personally, the more we can make a positive difference in the evolution of the consciousness of all souls everywhere. Perhaps then we can bring God's peace to our magnificent world. And as I'll conclude by saying, as the beautiful song that was written by Jill Jackson Miller and Cy Miller, I think in the 1950s it was, "Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. So there you have it. There really isn't too much more to say about the topic. It really is pretty simple, although bouncing back from adversities sometimes is far from simple. They can shake up our world a lot, cause a lot of pain for us. But when we stay present and not get just totally diving headfirst into it and losing our sense of where we are, what's going on. If we stay here and accept the pain, open to it, do not, I guess the easiest way to say it is when we are in pain, a lot of times, everything contracts, our energy contracts. We close to everything, and including the good things too. So when pain or adversities happen, if we can just remind ourselves to stay open, because difficulties and adversities and challenges, they're still all part of this human experience. And just saying it's okay if you cry, it's okay if you're hurting, and that's part of this, but also it's here for a reason. So engage both your positivity, your positive thoughts, and then engage the wisdom that we have access to all the time, unless we close. So that's an important thing to remember, even if we just say to ourselves, okay, I know this hurts. I know this is awful. Stay open, because in the openness is the answers on how to handle it, learn from it, evolve from it, and come back from it. More loving, more kind, more wise, and more enlightened. So, have a wonderful day, everyone. We're about to get a hurricane on Long Island here, so we're bracing for that. So I hope everybody in the pathway of this storm stays safe. And sometimes storms can be fun as long as everybody is okay. So enjoy whatever Mother Nature has to give us, because we really don't have a choice, do we? So have a great day, everyone. Namaste.